Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Fourth and Forever, brought to you by Roundtable Sports. Folks, TD is currently on the road, we believe. I think that he might be able to make an appearance by the end of the show, but have no fear. Myself and Richie are going to hold down the fort because is a lot of things happening around the NFL that we all need to discuss. Richie, how's life, man? Talk to me.
Yeah, we had some breaking NFL news this morning that I'm excited to talk about. A lot of things going around, man. You think the NFL would have a pause in May, but no, not the case. We got the NFL schedule releasing in a week, which is exciting. The Pickens trade, a lot of releases, some speculations. Woo, a lot right here on Fourth and Forever on Roundtable Sports. Make sure you guys do us a favor by smacking the like button. Please do us a favor and smack the like button. Easiest way to support this channel. And maybe gift some members, get the ball rolling. Let's get into business. TD said he's going to try to join late. We're waiting for him backstage, but we realized let's just start without him. So we shall see.
I'll tell you what, man, we're going to miss TD, especially with one specific topic that I wanted to get into before we got into the George Pickens trade and the Dallas Cowboys. Shout out to our one boy that always ends up tagging us in breaking news on X. You know what I'm talking about, right, Richie? He's a Jets fan. His name's
Right
Zabby96.
Exactly,
Zach
Burner.
Dude, Zach Burner. Shout out to Zach Burner because he always ends up providing us some juicy details of what we need to discuss. Richie, Tyreek Hill ended up going through a second wrist surgery this morning per Snapchat, right? And I really feel like it's telling us a story here because there's no question that this wide receiver does not want to be on the Miami Dolphins, right? Like we saw that whole thing where he didn't include two on his top five quarterbacks. He said it verbatim to a reporter in the locker room at the last game of the season. Here's my thought on this, Richie. I think that he ended up taking that secondary surgery for a precaution because I ended up hitting AI earlier, Richie. And I was curious. I was just like, you know what? I wonder what the typical recovery time is for an NFL player that has to go through his specific wrist surgery, and it had to do with his torn ligament, in which he suffered during a joint practice last offseason, last OTAs and training camp. And Richie, it says that once the cast comes off, then once you end up incorporating rehab, the totality of the recovery process is anywhere from 3 to 6 months. He received the surgery today. 3 months from now would be August, meaning that he would be good by week 1. But the further end of the spectrum would be 6 months, meaning that he would be available to play around November. Here's my take. He is going to elongate that recovery process as much as humanly possible because guess what is in November, right around the time that he would be recovered?
Trade deadline.
NFL trade deadline. I think that's exactly what's going on over here. Talk to me.
So you're speculating that he got surgery now so he can be ready to go by the trade deadline.
Yep.
I mean, does that mean he doesn't play to start at all? Like he's going to get traded without playing at all this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so. I feel like if you're the Dolphins, you try to trade this guy now. The fact that he got his wrist surgery, I don't know. Like, does Tyreek Hill still got it? I think he does. But I don't know if he still got the, 2,000 yards or something like that in his repertoire anymore. I definitely feel like he's checked out of Miami. Who wouldn't be? Yeah. Especially if you're a player like we saw Ramsey mutually wants to get out. I'm sure Tyreek wants to, there's all these win now pieces, and all these win now pieces are coming to the realization, we're not winning here. And I'm in my prime, so get me out. So yeah, I can definitely see Tyreek going the direction of wanting out, and this could be a good timeline. It forces him to not play and allows him.
Now, some people are saying, oh, yeah, but it typically takes 2 months. And normally I would agree with you. I would say if Tyreek Hill was happy with his current situation, I genuinely believe he would be ready by week 1. But when they say that it can take anywhere between 3 to 6 months, I promise you he's going to milk the hell out of that thing because he clearly hasn't been traded yet. I think that this man's going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm not ready. I think I might be ready by November. And then once October hits around, guess what? With Drew Rosenhaus is going to hop on the phone, all right, with Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer and be like, get my guy out of here. We're done. Just think about, dude, how much of a dumpster fire is the Miami Dolphins organization going to be this year? What are your expectations? I feel like we can all agree that they are clearly going to be basement dwellers, right?
And yeah, so but I think the Dolphins are so talented where they'll still be good, but just not good enough to fulfill the hope of the Dolphins fans. Like they're not going to be picking top 5 unless Tua gets hurt again and you're rolling with Zach Wilson and everything's blowing up. I could see that happening. But they're still talented. They still won some games last year and was in the middle of the road. So I'm not ready to say they're going to take a giant step backwards. I think they're just stuck in this purgatory. Like, I don't see improvement. Like, is there a Dolphins fan in the chat or anywhere, or TD somewhere, that can tell me how the Dolphins improved this offseason? That's what I'm missing, Dan. No. I don't see any improvement other than, oh, we're going to be healthier. We're health. If that's what you're banking on, health, I'm here to tell you, even you healthy does not scare anybody in the NFL, because what was the danger of the Dolphins? It was speed. It was, oh my God, they got Tyreek and Waddle. How are we going to keep up with the speed? Now, Tyreek's not going to be healthy, and Ramsey's a lockdown corner who wants out. Your offensive line is still a mess.
Yeah.
I don't know about basement dwellers, but you never know. They could blow it up.
And so now we're seeing all of those reports that Quinn Ewers is a really good shot at being the starting quarterback if Tua does not
over Zach Wilson
working out. Yeah, I know, right? And you know how much I hate Quinn Ewers. And I hated Quinn Ewers before he was a Miami Dolphin. I am a known Quinn Ewers is a bum advocate. All right. Like, I am the president of that club.
Podcast of him sitting there waiting for his name with all, he has like a forest behind him on his wall.
Oh, yeah. Dude, listen, man, I get it. And surprisingly enough, I do hunt myself.
He was sitting there waiting for his name to get called.
Like, that was ridiculous, man. Like, that was like every single kill his family has had for generations behind him. You know what I mean?
It's like a giant forest.
Like, that's like a trophy hunter. You know what I mean? Like, I'm more of like the, all right, yeah, like, let me get some venison steaks out of it or something like that. Or let me get some duck meat so I can whip it up.
See the picture of Jackson Dart that went viral? He like hunted like a giant wildcat.
Stud. Jackson Dart. Dude,
Jackson Dart also like is a big Star Wars guy, and he wears eye black in honor of Anakin Skywalker. I'm like, man, how are you not a Jet?
You're like, why are you not a Jet?
Why are you a Giant out of all freaking places? I'm curious to see how that works out, though.
All right. Well, you know what, man? The NFC East got a hell of a lot more interesting this morning. George Pickens was sent over to the Dallas Cowboys, and the Pittsburgh Steelers ultimately ended up receiving a 3rd-round pick for all of this. And I do kind of want to focus on both teams, what it means for the Cowboys, more importantly, what it means for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But, Richie, I got to tell you, here we go again. All right? This Dallas Cowboys team where we thought, oh, okay, like, I guess they're okay, but they are stuck in the division right now with the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles, reigning Super Bowl champions. But I got to tell you what, man, I like this George Pickens addition for the Dallas Cowboys. You have CD out of the slot, and then now you have George Pickens as your deep threat. And granted, I do know that he's a bit of a polarizing player, but I think that he's really brought a lot to the table in Pittsburgh with the quarterbacks that he has had to deal with throughout his career, with Kenny Pickett, for example, then Mason Rudolph, and then obviously the combo of Justin Fields and then also Russell Wilson last year. As much as we love shitting on Dak Prescott, we do need to know something. Like, Dak puts up numbers. And I think that Dak Prescott is leaps and bounds better than any quarterback that he has ever played with. Then you look at the offensive line over in Dallas, which I believe was significantly improved going on from this offseason. Still wish they had a bit better of a run game, but I think George Pickens makes this Dallas Cowboys team not necessarily scary, but I do think that it ups my overall prediction of how I think that their season is going to turn out. Thoughts on the impact of George Pickens in the Dallas Cowboys?
I think it's interesting. Like, I don't get it from Pittsburgh's perspective. Like, maybe they're going, I don't know. If you're going after Aaron Rodgers, for example, why would you get rid of Pickens? You want weapons, like if they're, but maybe just Rodgers is not going there, man. I just don't get it. I don't know what they go all in for DK. And if they're not going to pay Pickens, I get it. You want to trade him. You put your money to DK, so you're not going to put your money to Pickens. I think this is a big win for Dallas. They needed another weapon outside of CeeDee Lamb. I agree with you there. I think the Dallas Cowboys are probably the most slept on team in the NFC because they're unknown with Dak getting hurt last year. I'd still believe in their roster. They are proven to be able to make the playoffs. Their issue is not playing well in the postseason. And you got these two monsters in the NFC East that rose to the occasion, the Super Bowl champion Eagles, the Washington Commanders coming out of nowhere and going all the way to the NFC Championship. I think the NFC East is very competitive, and the Giants probably going to have another year of just being the Giants and not being good. But I like the Cowboys. I think this addition helps. I think it was smart to be aggressive. I think that Dak Prescott is going to have to play the way he did a few years ago in order for everything to click. And he was a freaking stud that year, borderline MVP.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. And what makes it even better for Dallas is that it just came out as well that George Pickens, he's saying that he does not want a contract extension right now. He says that he wants to play on the final year of his rookie season, which I believe he's owed about $4.6 million, so he can prove his worth. He can prove his worth, which makes it even more of a head scratcher from the Pittsburgh Steelers side of things. Like, was it like maybe like a toxic like situation within the locker room? There's no question that he's had his share of gaffes while he's been in the league, right? Like he's sitting there, he's going to throw some haymakers and stuff like that or whatever. Like he's consistently getting into arguments with other players. He acts, and this is not coming from me, this is coming from headlines, childish, like quite a bit. Why are they moving on from George Pickens, especially when this team still doesn't have a quarterback? All right. Still doesn't have a quarterback. Like, you don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm staying away from that damn team, right? Like they have no offensive line, and all they have is DK Metcalf, who has never been a cornerstone of an offense before. He has always had a star-studded trio and or at least a quality wide receiver too on his opposite side. And I'm sorry, but a 50-year-old Robert Woods, and then also that slot receiver they ultimately ended up getting out of Michigan last year, Roman Wilson, is not it. So wondering why Pittsburgh did this.
Yeah, I don't understand their philosophy here. I guess maybe they're looking already into replacing Pickens in the draft next year or something, and they felt like they wanted to reset. I don't understand. They're in such a win now mode. They've proven to win with not a lot of talent. And I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers as one of the least talented rosters that Mike Tomlin's ever had. I mean, tell me where I'm wrong there. The quarterback position's abysmal. They don't have an offensive line. Najee Harris left, so now they have a different running back there. And their defense is always going to be solid, but where's the offense? And it tells you why. They were really aggressive to bring back Justin Fields. Fields did not want to go back to Pittsburgh for this reason. And he was like, we'll see about if they're smart about it, but I don't understand the philosophy of Pittsburgh with this trade. Even if you want to play on his contract, let him prove himself with Pittsburgh.
Now there's a theory / a mentality, right? And it's something that I think the Buffalo Bills were able to accomplish last year. But I feel like a lot of front offices are making this mistake thinking that they could mimic it by saying, oh, well, let's look at the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, right? Like both teams were in the AFC Championship last year, and you could hardly pull together like quality names from the wide receiver position. Or like you have seen all of these teams succeed with holes in the offensive line, holes in the wide receiver room. Why can't we do that? The key denominator here is that you need an elite quarterback. And I'm sorry, but Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, the rookie, Skylar Thompson is not going to allow you to achieve that. Is DK going to like be like your number one wide receiver? Sure. He'll probably end up like having like a 1,200, 1,300 yard season. It's going to be so sick for Madden. But what does that mean when Mike Tomlin ends up losing a shit ton of games this year and putting up the worst?
I'm actually looking at ESPN, and they have a graphic on their screen, notable Steelers skill players. And you got DK, Calvin Austin III, Robert Woods, Roman Wilson as your receivers, and Pat Freiermuth, and then the running back room is up in the air. Like, I don't understand what their mindset is playmaking wise. They got worse with this trade, and the capital wasn't even fantastic. Like, you get a 3rd and a 5th by giving up a 6th. I don't know.
Maybe. And so you don't think that it's in Tomlin's DNA to tank, do you?
No, he's never tanked in his life. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's proven to be a coach that can get the most out of these guys. It's not about the name on the back of their jersey. It's about the Pittsburgh Steeler way of things. And I think Jaylen Warren is still solid enough to carry that load from a running back perspective, and maybe they can go after Keenan Allen. I don't know. I mean, get another veteran in there, but it feels like they're in a rebuild. But Tomlin will never go out there and say, "Yeah, we're just going to retool this year." Like, nah, he's going to try to win the football games.
So I think when it comes down to it, I think that within the next couple of days, we're going to hear that the Pittsburgh Steelers are signing either Amari Cooper, Gabe Davis, or Keenan Allen, like you said. But then again, that's still kind of
Davis.
Yeah, it's cheap, right? Which is another topic.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Your boy.
All right. First off, man, I'm gonna go ahead and run victory laps while I can. Okay. Last year, and this was from you, and this is from TD, and this is from Bills fans too. But you know what? I don't like to be right. I just am most of the time. I'm just kidding. Seriously. Anyway, I said during this last offseason, I said, look, Gabe Davis is largely a player that if you were to go on ahead and pull up his highlight reel, you would only see 3 games that were associated within this highlight reel. Yes, he had a couple of splashes here and there, made some big plays for Buffalo, what have you, but largely very inconsistent, right? Like he has zero separation. He's not even that good of a contested catch guy. And he ultimately ended up going over to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes, he ultimately ended up playing only 10 games last year. But if you look at the trajectory of where his targets were going, they were significantly less compared to the rest of the wide receivers on said squad. He still had quite a few problems in the drop category. And Jacksonville wanted Gabe Davis off of their team so much, Richie, that they are paying him $13 million to play for somebody else in 2025. They took a $13 million cap hit this year just for him to not be on the roster. As much as I love Travis Hunter, he's a generational guy, but like he plays both sides of the ball, right? Like obviously you don't want to like walk away. Like look at the wide receiving core right now in Jacksonville outside of Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, who is only going to be a 50-50 guy, more than likely. Why did Jacksonville take on such a negative cap hit to walk away from Gabe Davis?
Yeah, I think they're just all in with Brian Thomas being that guy and Travis Hunter, and they felt like Gabe Davis as a number 3 doesn't really fit their plan. Listen, they also have a brand new coach and a brand new GM, and I think that's important to note. The GM and the coach that they have did not sign Gabe Davis to this contract, right? So that's not their move that they made. And they have De'Ami Brown, who they got, who's solid from Washington, who I think they trust to be the number 3 receiver next to Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas. So they look at the value. They don't want to take on a risk of injury, and they want to just get that guy off their books. That's what it seems like. He maybe doesn't fit the culture that Liam Cohen is trying to build. That's something else that people don't realize, that when you get a new head coach and a new GM, there's a lot of roster changes that happens. That's a head scratcher, but it's just all about fitting the new identity of the team.
Oh, man. And you know what? It's definitely interesting. You know what? I am rooting for the player, surprisingly enough. I have had some Bills fans come on and say, oh, Dan, like, what do you think about him coming back to the Buffalo Bills? And I probably would say that I wouldn't be shocked, because Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane love welcoming back old players for familiarity purposes. But for me, I'd probably say no, because not unless like we see Buffalo taking on 7 wide receivers this year, which I think is very unlikely. I feel like we need to associate the depth on our 53-man roster in more positions of need, such as secondary, also within the trenches. I'm good on taking on 7 wide receivers, especially since we have a player on this roster that we drafted to be a better Gabe Davis and Keon Coleman already, and largely he has filled that role for us. Hopefully he takes the next step right into the foreseeable future here.
So there was an article that came out from Bleacher Report that I wanted to get your thoughts of. It came out 4 potential trades in the NFL.
Okay.
And the first one I wanted to talk about is this one, because they were right on the money, which is why I feel like this article has something. This article came out a few days ago.
Right on the money, dude.
Yeah. This article came out a few days ago.
Steelers fans are on something too, man.
And I'll tell you this, Bleacher Report, working with them, now I know they're partnered with the NFL officially. So they're more plugged in with the league now in terms of inside information. That's all I can say. So there's 3 other potential trades I want to get your thoughts of. Jalen Ramsey going back to the Rams is one that they have listed.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what.
What's your thoughts there?
So Ramsey's going to be pretty difficult, right? So I look at how impressive the LA Rams defense was last year, and it was youth, man. It was youthful. Like, we thought that secondary and we thought that defense as a whole was going to struggle last year, but toward the back half of the season, and even during their playoff game in which that they won, that defense really rang the bell. They showed up when they needed to. Here's my thing about Jalen. I'm just kind of curious if Sean McVay and that front office wants to take on a said contract. Like, yeah, for sure. Like, he's probably not going to get the deal that he got the first time with the LA Rams, and he's certainly not going to get a deal anywhere close to what he got in Miami, but I still think he's going to be relatively expensive. Like, yes, I think he's showing signs of regression, but I don't think that he's going to be like a 1-year prove-it deal for $5 million against the books. He's probably still going to be looking for, like he's going to have to figure it out, especially since Miami has already said that they want to whatever team ends up trading for Jalen Ramsey has to take on all of the contractual obligations. Will the Rams do that? I do not know. But I do have a strong gut feeling that they would probably avoid that like the plague if Miami doesn't back down by saying that they need to acquire that said contract, because that's quite significant, especially for a player that has not been himself for the past couple of years.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with the Ramsey situation with the Rams. I think that is a very likely opportunity for them. Another trade I want to get your thoughts of involves the New York Jets.
Oh.
And that is for Romeo Doubs, the wide receiver from the Packers, because the Jets are lacking a number 2 receiver on paper next to Garrett Wilson. We have Allen Lazard, who is on the Jets, and not a lot of Jets fans are happy with Allen Lazard in terms of him being our guy and speculating he's going to get traded or released. And this was what Allen Lazard just said on Twitter, that he's not going anywhere. So stop saying I'm leaving. So Lazard is staying a Jet. So he just told that people now. So what's your thoughts of the Jets being aggressive for a trade for a guy like Romeo Doubs or something?
So I think like Romeo Doubs would make sense, right? So it appears like when you look at their overall roster, so they draft Matthew Golden right in the first round, right? You still ultimately end up having Dontavian Wicks, and then you also have
another receiver in the 3rd round, Williams.
And they also ended up drafting yet one more wide receiver as well. So it doesn't appear that Doubs is going to have much of a place on said roster, right? Because like you have to look at how a team structures so they're overall 53. Like realistically, at bare minimum, what you want is like 4 to 5 players that can really operate the offense, but say that your team ultimately ends up taking on 6 wide receivers to fill that slot. The 6th guy is typically somebody that can be a massive contributor on special teams. So I'm having a hard time finding a place for Doubs on this roster. So I do think that he would be on the market, and I do think that he would be a quality wide receiver number 2. And I want to say that Doubs was also the wide receiver last year that was very vocal on social media about how pissed off he was on how he was not being implemented into the Packers offense. And so am I right on that one?
I think so.
I want to say that like he went on, like he like stopped showing up to practice or something because he was pissed off about it. So I feel like the writing is on the wall. And I think that, yeah, dude, listen, I would love this move for the Jets. I think that this is an automatic upgrade to Allen Lazard. I think that when I look at your team, man, I think outside of Garrett Wilson, and that's not a bad wide receiver number 1 to have. He's the best wide receiver in the AFC East. But I do think that you need somebody else on the opposite side that can really have some pull. And then God forbid, man, maybe that one Yak King that we were all excited the Jets got last
Corley, baby.
Corley, man. Maybe he ends up taking a 2nd-year jump. That's something I feel like people regularly ignore is that. And so it happens each and every single year where like you have a player that had a lackluster rookie season, but then, oh my God, he breaks out out of nowhere.
Yeah, and the guy didn't even play as his rookie year. He didn't even get on the field. So that's the thing about that.
Him fumbling right in the end zone.
That's the one play that he got an opportunity. Perfect play design, perfect execution. The guy freaking fumbled at the 1 yard line. So that's the only thing you got. But the Jets also drafted Arian Smith from Georgia, the speedster, in the 4th round. There's a lot of people questioning that receiver. He ran a 4.36, fast as all heck. So we'll see if he's anybody. And then we've signed Josh Reynolds. So the Jets receiver room is very interesting outside of Garrett Wilson, indeed, which is why I think they're in the market for getting a receiver next to him, indeed.
Jets are coming on into it. So I'm sure you saw that one thing about Shedeur Sanders falling into the 5th.
What part of it?
Oh, man. You see that there's a fan, a Colorado Buffaloes fan, that is currently suing the NFL for $100 million due to the emotional distress that he or she suffered watching Shedeur Sanders fall to the 5th round.
That can't be real.
It's real. It is absolutely
$100 million.
They are suing the NFL for $100 million because of the emotional distress that caused for Shedeur Sanders falling into the 5th round.
Oh, my God.
Talk to me.
That's crazy. Is that actually true, dude? NFL gets sued?
It's no. It's true. And then while you look it up and start mixing up your overall take on this, does the forever part of the show name represent TD's commitment to the show? Yes, most definitely, man. Where the hell is he?
You know what he's doing?
TD.
TD been ducking me for 2 days conveniently because the Knicks beat the Celtics. Then game 1. That's why he's not here.
Dude, I saw that. Dude.
Yeah, they did.
Dude, I did see that. And guys, make sure that you do check out Richie's live game reaction tonight to the New York Knicks and playoff round number 2. I suppose we should have a bit of an announcement as well. We are not going to be doing an AFC East Roundtable event this evening because both TD is lined up with something that he needs to address, and then Richie has to cheer on his Knicks. Because let me tell you what, man. His stuff's been going viral on the TikTok, baby.
Yeah, bro. My stuff's going viral from game 1. If you guys want to come through to my watch party tonight instead of the AFC East Roundtable, come on through. But don't worry, the AFC East Roundtable will be back next week and have a long epic show because it's the same night of the schedule release. So we're postponing tonight's show and going to have a long marathon show next week for the schedule release. Any basketball fan that wants to come through to my watch party tonight, greatly appreciate it. Here it is. It'll be live. Oh, baby, it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. And I wish TD can come on here because TD just keeps running from the truth of the Knicks about to upset the Celtics, baby. Woo-wee. It's kind of like the Bills. I feel like we're the Bills right now going up against the Chiefs. That's how it feels right now.
It's big, dude. The
Celtics are reigning champions.
And it's funny because most Bills fans are Knicks fans, from what I understand.
Yeah, they don't have a basketball team. They should be. Let's freaking go Knicks, baby. Shout out to Knicks Nation. Jalen Brunson about to bring us home. But I did find the article of this.
Uh-huh.
And this is kind of nuts.
Dude, it's
emotional
stress. It's so get
Did you make a TikTok on this yet?
Oh, I sure did. And so it's deeper than that, right? I actually have the full lawsuit right here, okay? So what they are seeking, all right? So number 1 is that $100 million in emotional impact on watching Shedeur fall all the way to the 5th round. Then number 1, they want a retraction of the slanderous statements made about Shedeur Sanders along with an apology from any harm caused to his reputation. So they're suing for an apology to everybody that talked down on Shedeur Sanders. Next up, so they want to implement fair practices in the drafting process to ensure that talented players are recognized and given opportunities based on merit. Okay. And then obviously, so that any additional remedies the court deems appropriate, including compensatory damages. This fool. And let me tell you something about this, Richie, right? Like, while it's not going to go to court, largely when you see things like this dude's probably going to get a settlement. He's not going to get $100 million, but I guarantee you what's going to happen is that like this NFL is probably just like scratching their head. They're like, holy shit, I'm really not trying to deal with this. And they'll probably end up like shoving this fool like $5 million.
No way.
Oh, yeah, dude, 110%. I promise you they will settle with this guy just to make him go away. That's the problem with the with the legal system nowadays, dude. It's going to be a lot of money to argue this. So they'll probably just be like, dude, here's $5 million.
Oh my gosh.
Get out of here. Yeah.
That's
dude, I promise they will settle with this fool.
So you think that's going to set a precedent of a lot of people starting to do this then?
I mean, dude, I hope not. It's like that, or they just go on ahead and they just flood this fool with paperwork and then they countersue him for a frivolous lawsuit. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's just easier to settle with somebody. So it's
psychological harm as a fan. I should sue the NFL from the harm that the Jets have caused me. They broke me to my core.
Dude, so to be honest with you, man, I should file a lawsuit for us never being able to get past the Kansas City Chiefs. Right?
I mean, what are we doing? You think this
guy's a direct apology from the officials and for saying Josh Allen didn't convert that 4th and 1? Like that's largely what I think I should. I'm just kidding, NFL. I would never do that. All right.
We love the NFL here.
We have Tony that's coming on. Dan, did Bob get a medal?
Those are Bob's credentials. I think they're wondering the lanyard around his neck.
Yeah, man. Those are his credentials.
Those are the credentials for the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, and then my Senior Bowl, which is bent from the last time I laid Bob out. I'm kind of upset about it, but it is what it is. I laid Bob out a little. Man. Yeah, I laid him out the other day, and he didn't necessarily appreciate that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the next topic here. And that just so happens to be Justin Tucker. Wow. Damn.
Forgot about that.
Justin Tucker, the kicker from the Baltimore Ravens, was released. And as many of us know, he had a very similar situation to what Deshaun Watson went through, as far as having a all but infinity amount of massage therapists saying that he was being a perv. All right. Now, it's all alleged. Still needs to go through the court process, but I think we can all agree that that's some red flags right there. And the Baltimore Ravens, which was ironic enough, that morning prior to being released, they said, yeah, Justin Tucker, he is going to be released based off of football and not based off of any of these said allegations, right? It's going to be a football decision and not a so-and-so decision. I completely called bullshit the second I saw that. And lo and behold, 4 to 5 hours later, he is gone because I think they drafted a kid named Tyler Loop or something. He was like regularly hitting 55, 56 yarders in college. And granted, look, like all of the allegations against Tucker right now are certainly quite a bit of a red flag. But I think we can all agree that he had a rough season last year, didn't he?
Yeah, I was about to say, like, he had a really bad year.
He had a bad year last year.
He cost the Ravens some games.
He did.
He really did. Like they lost games because of him.
Yeah.
So this is a mixture of, I think, both. I think like if he's coming off a usual Justin Tucker prime season, like I don't think that there. And then these allegations came out. I think they'll deal with the allegations and probably keep him. To be honest, but the fact that he looks like he's declining and he's up there in age and how bad he was last year, mixed in with the allegations, it made it an easy decision. Like, yeah, it's time to look for his replacement in the draft and release him. So I think it's definitely a combination of both. Again, if he was elite last year, like he usually is, I don't think he gets released with the allegations in mind too.
You think that any team's going to pick him up?
No.
No?
Nah, maybe.
I'd say the Browns. Why not?
Jets need a kicker. Jets do need a kicker.
Oh, dude. Oh, man. Oh, man. I'm staying away from that one.
We're staying away from that. We don't need anybody coming on in and taking a distraction away. There'll be a team after it gets settled or anything like that. Shout out to Taylor Johnson for becoming a rookie member of the Roundtable Sports community. Big shout out to him. Make sure you guys gift some memberships right now in the chat. We appreciate you guys tuning on in to the channel right here on 4th and Forever live all the time, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. EST, live weekdays, baby. Let's go.
Shout out to Zachary Berner again, because he ended up throwing in an update on the Derek Carr situation, which I find to be pretty intriguing. So we talked about this on the show already, but I feel like this whole QB situation over for the New Orleans Saints has gotten deeper and
you read
deeper.
This whole thing already, Dan?
I skimmed it, and it largely has to do with Derek Carr and quite a bit of why he has been, for lack of a better term, pussyfooting around the fact that he needed surgery on his shoulder, right? Like, he's still sitting in limbo. He's just like, oh, maybe I get surgery, maybe I don't. Regardless, he's claiming that he suffered a shoulder injury the exact same time he suffered his Week 14 injury. Now we're hearing rumors that he technically doesn't even want to be a part of the New Orleans Saints. He wants out. I'm having a hard time finding a team that would be interested in him in the first place, barring any sort of midseason injury at the NFL trade deadline. But I don't know, Rich. I don't know. Why is he taking so long to make a decision? Why is he holding this team in limbo right now? I feel like that this is really serving as a detriment to the New Orleans Saints as they tend to begin their brand new era under a new head coach and hopefully a path to NFL success once again. What do you think?
According to Grok.
Yeah.
Grok's analysis says Derek Carr's shoulder injury first noticed this spring stemmed from a Week 14 game. Hesitant to undergo surgery on his throwing shoulder, having had a prior procedure on the same arm, which adds uncertainty to his availability, and he has the Saints to weigh their options. I think the Saints should just freaking go all in on Tyler Shook or Spencer Rat-a-tat-tat.
Spencer Rat-a-tat-tat, baby. Don't you sleep on him, man. Don't you sleep on him.
Yeah, shout out to the Saints drafting a quarterback back-to-back drafts in the mid-rounds.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't like first-round picks at that spot. I guess they didn't like Shador or Jackson Dart or anybody, of course, at 9 for those obvious reasons. But I feel like you look at the Saints, they're not winning with no Derek Carr. So throw us, like, why? I don't know, man. New head coach. That team is always in cap hell. They're definitely capped out. If I'm the Saints, I don't even consider Derek Carr waiting for him. Like, it's not like he's anything special. I would go in a different direction of just starting Rattler or Shook.
So funny enough, you say that, right? The New Orleans Saints have not drafted a quarterback in the first round in 54 years, Richie. Wow. They have not selected a QB in the first round in 54 damn years.
Well, they got Drew Brees through a trade.
Yeah. Yeah, he was formerly a Charger. Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Listen, they just love those mid-round things. And then right according to Grok, it said their last first-round quarterback selection was Archie Manning. Second overall in the 1971 NFL draft.
Oh, you can already see it. Saints, I don't know. That could be the vision.
Because look, like when I look at teams that are screwed like this year, regardless of Kellen Moore taking over as a play caller, Arch Manning's on the board, bro. I don't know.
Arch Manning.
I don't know, dude. Talk to me about a simulation right now, brother. Damn.
Is there a world that he's not the consensus #1 overall pick? Like, what if it's Newsmeyer or someone has a better college season than him?
So I was reading a little bit on Arch Manning and stuff like that. So this morning from an AFC scout, and he said that while I think everyone believes that he would be the unanimous #1, technically on paper and on film, there's really not a lot of subject matter to roll to that conclusion, right?
That's why I feel like he needs another year. If he goes and balls out for 2 consecutive years, that's first overall pick. I feel like 1 year of balling out, that's sketchy to be a first overall pick for 1 year in college.
Well, the one thing is, though, too, right? Like, that was sort of the case for Joe Burrow, right? Because he really only had 1 year because he was a backup for Ohio State. He graduated from Ohio State. Like, he was on their roster, graduated, got his degree, had 1 more year of eligibility, and then he just ended up going down to so with LSU and won them a national championship. And that was just 1 year of production. Damn it, dude. Listen, man, dude. Like you and I were talking about launching, like what new shows should we be implementing, like on the Roundtable Sports Network. And I don't want to like dive deep into college football, but just so I can understand Arch Manning's production, I'm fine to start looking for some Texas Longhorns creators and putting together a Longhorns Roundtable, because I gotta be informed about Arch Manning. I have to.
You're an Arch Manning stan.
I feel like I am.
That's your guy, just like TD is with Cam Ward.
So you know what's gonna happen though, because this is ultimately what always happens, right? Like I fall in love with the prospect, and that prospect always ends up going to a team that I absolutely hate. So I could be sitting here being like, oh, hell yeah, dude, Arch Manning, he's going to be the future. And then ding, 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 the Miami Dolphins select Arch Manning, right? Like then I'll be like, okay, all right, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, man. That happened to me. I fell in love with Saquon. I literally never watched college, but I really remember putting on Penn State games because of Saquon. I loved him out of college. He's a Jets fan growing up, and he gets drafted by the Giants. Jackson Dart, oh, he's my guy, dude. Dan, Giants. Come on, man. Dude, I hate the Giants.
Same shit for me, right? Kyle Williams, wide receiver out of Washington State.
Yes.
Patriots. Jalen Royals, wide receiver out of Iowa State. Kansas City Chiefs. Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle from Michigan. Miami Dolphins. It's true, man. It's true. Every player.
Have the Bills ever drafted one of your guys?
So late round picks. So last year I really wanted Javon Solomon. So I'm glad we got him right in the 5th round. But I mean, we'll see if he makes the team this year, because we invested heavily within the edge department. I'm trying to think of anybody like really pre-draft process that I was like, the Bills need to get this guy.
Striking out. The Bills are just not listed. They're like, all right, let's go to Dan's channel. Who does he want? Let's not get them.
Like, look, like all the players I did want, though, ultimately did end up having great NFL careers, right? Like, I can say that, like dating back to 2024.
There's no better feeling than getting the guy you want. Like last year, remember how much I love Jordan Travis? I'm like, if the Jets get a quarterback, they got to get Jordan Travis.
Yeah.
And when they got him, I was like, oh my God, that was my guy.
Yeah.
And then 2022, Jermaine Johnson was the guy I wanted, even at pick 10. Yeah. And then the Jets get Sauce and Garrett, and then they end up trading back into the 1st round for Jermaine. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I lost my mind. So there's a lot of instances where the Jets drafted the guys I loved in the pre-draft process, which feels good. Malachi Corley was a guy I wanted. Mason Taylor.
Man, I'll tell you what, dude. Listen, like as far as my preferences, I was significantly disappointed for the past 2 years. Last year, I wanted to trade up for Brian Thomas Jr. That didn't happen. And then afterwards, I was like, okay, Ladd McConkey, sign me up, right?
I'm happy he's not a Bill, bro. He's a stud.
He's so good, man. And then obviously with this year, like all the players on my big board just went to those rivals, which still just boils my blood, but is what it is. All right. Like we still have the MVP. I'm feeling pretty good about it. But yeah, guys, listen, that's going to have to do it for another edition of 4th and Forever, brought to you by Roundtable Sports. Again, I do want to remind everybody that we are not going to be foregoing with an episode of the AFC's Roundtable this evening, because Richie has prior arrangements. He will be streaming on his channel, reacting to the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics game too. And then I want to say TD is currently on the road. He's doing some family time, baby. So go check out Richie tonight, man, in the AFC's Roundtable's place.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it. If you guys want to get entertained, I lose my mind, whether we're winning or losing. I definitely lose my mind, and it's going to be an exciting opportunity. So go check me out at Knicks Media. We will see you guys there, and we'll see you on 4th and Forever tomorrow.
Man, things are exciting. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Please do us a favor and hit that thumbs up sign for us if you haven't had an opportunity of doing so already. It seems very simple and unnecessary, but I strongly urge you to shift the mindset. It's very important to us over here. It helps propel it out to the YouTube algorithm where more people can discover this daily NFL news and rumors show. So help us out there. Subscribe and turn on bell notifications so you can tune in each and every single Monday through Friday live. And Bo C saying TD's running from Richie. You already know.
He's waiting for the Celtics to win a game to start coming on.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see him tomorrow. That is for damn show. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Deuces.